welcome back to Elevator Pitch. This is episode something.
Episode to be determined.
Episode at some point, you'll see this.
For and all listen, we know, this is episode 1.
Yeah, maybe it is. I don't
maybe
know.
It is. But anyway, come on aboard.
Yeah,
come on the rickety elevator.
It's fine. It's definitely not going to break down.
Nope. And you know what?
It's okay.
Who wants to take the stairs anyway? I mean, unless you're trying to lose some weight or something, then you should probably take the stairs.
Yeah.
But the elevator is cooler anyway. There's music, and we're on it.
Yeah.
This got away from me.
I don't know where you're going with it, but I was just going to let you run.
Hey, man. Climb on aboard the rickety elevator. It's going to fail, but we don't care. So get on board the rickety elevator because it's a lot better than stairs.
So anyway, welcome to Elevator Pitch, the podcast for myself and Tim here. Pitch new movies, TV shows, video games, you name it, new media in existing franchises, or maybe brand new stuff one day. I don't know. Today, we are going to be pitching a sequel that should have happened.
Yes.
That should have happened to a movie that is severely underrated, in my opinion.
Yes.
Jumper. So we're going to be pitching Jumper 2.
So when we did the list of like the 15 ideas or so that we have kind of going right now, I remember we talked about Jumper and you were like, ooh, we're doing Jumper.
Yeah.
And when I was looking at where to find where to watch Jumper at, which you can do on HBO Max currently, I were coming across a list from like BuzzFeed or Screen Rant or something of like 10 movies that deserved a sequel and never got one, and Jumper was number 1.
Yeah. So quick little history of Jumper here. It came out in 2008. So quite a while ago, but it was supposed to have a sequel.
Really?
They were filming, or at least in pre-production for Jumper 2, because at the end, if you look in the bonus of like the DVD, who has a DVD anymore, but if you were to get the Blu-ray or the DVD, there is bonus material of like pre-rendered CGI and storyboards for Jumper 2.
Well, that doesn't count for this because I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, it doesn't count, but it also took no effect into my fix because
not fix,
pitch. Yeah, that's what you know what I meant. I just finished listening to Fix It, which if you hadn't, go listen to Jay and Adam fix things.
Fix It, yeah.
Anyway, it had something to do with, I think Griffin came back, and I think there was more like jump battles between them, and then more Paladin stuff, and I guess I don't know. There is a book series that these are based on. I haven't read them. I think there's 4 books.
By the way, we're not counting as source material for this because they're so vastly different.
Yeah,
that they're kind of their own thing.
Yeah, the books are their own thing. We're just focusing on the movie. And that's how we're going to look at these going forward. If there is books for movies that didn't get sequels or whatever, oh well, we're going off
doing our own thing.
Yep. So Jumper is a story. Basically, there are jumpers and they can teleport. In essence, and then there's a group of people called Paladins, and they think that jumpers are unholy. Is essentially the gist, that only God should have the power to be in all places at once, and so they hunt them down and kill them.
Yep,
that's their whole role.
Yep.
I don't even know that they're like bad guys. Like they're not good. I mean, they're murdering people.
Zangief is not bad guy.
Zangief is not bad guy, but he is bad guy.
Bad guy.
But like,
it's kind of like one of those things where like the jumpers are technically anti-heroes and the Paladins are technically anti-villains.
Right. Like they're not straight up evil. At least they're not
shady stuff.
Yeah, they do some real shady stuff, and they're not painted as like straight up villains.
These are the jumpers, so
that's the thing. Like I feel like both sides in this story are pretty gray.
Yeah,
they're pretty gray because like David Rice, the main character played by Hayden Christensen,
aka Darth Vader.
This
was I believe his first major role after doing Vader.
I think so.
Yeah.
he starts off by robbing banks, and he robs a lot of banks.
A lot of banks.
And just kind of does whatever he wants to do. So like he's not really doing any good with his powers. Like the reason I like this story so much, like the Jumpers, is like they're essentially superheroes that don't do superhero things.
Nah, they do what any human would do if they had the power to teleport.
It's the most realistic portrayal of someone with teleportation abilities, which is, I'm a rob bank.
Thrust into superheroism.
Yes.
Sort of.
They jump when they're like very young for the first time, and then they figure it out, and usually they're hunted down and murdered.
Yes.
Because
viciously.
I'm assuming it's in the book somewhere that there's a backstory on, like, I don't know, Jumpers like murdered some folk.
We'll get to that.
Maybe you'll do some flashbacks in yours or something.
It kind of bleeds into my pitch a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
I like it. I didn't do any of that. I did none of that. We're just gonna keep trucking like it just that happened.
Okay.
Because I'm not changing anything. I'm just like, we know what we know.
I mean, okay.
But anyway,
I'm not changing anything either.
No, I know.
Never mind. We'll talk about it.
We'll get there. So there's Jumpers and there's Paladins, and we meet up with older David Hayden Christensen, and he's just living the high life.
Just tripped, which is how you know this is a movie, because no one asks no questions. My man ain't got no job.
Nope, he's got no job.
He's living in like a penthouse in New York.
He pays with cash.
Yep.
Everywhere. He ain't got a bank account.
I mean, I know it's 2008, but debit cards were still pretty popular around then.
Yeah, I don't remember if I had a debit card in 08. I want to say I had a debit card in 08.
Well, no, I don't know.
Maybe it was Wells Fargo.
I did.
Wachovia?
Because I had a job.
Well, I got hired at the theater in 09. No, it was 08.
Was it 08?
Yeah, because I got hired on my 18th birthday.
And then it would have been Wachovia.
Yeah, it would have been Wachovia for sure.
Or Wachovia, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, yeah. So debit cards were definitely a big thing. Like,
yeah, but like people still carry. It's not like now, or like now it's like, why do you have cash? That's weird.
Yeah. Why do you have cash? Why don't you just use Apple Pay? What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Like, why do you even have a card?
Yeah.
Why you swiping?
Who has plastic? You're just killing the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, he ain't got a bank account. He's just paying with cash everywhere. Nobody asks questions. Apparently, he never has anyone over at his apartment because he's got a computer blocking his front door. They never do maintenance checks.
That doesn't need to use doors.
That's fair, but they never do maintenance checks. There ain't no cameras. Nobody ever. They just assume he just phases through the door.
Yeah. It's like when he goes on the elevator, it just closes and he goes up.
Yeah.
Like, why does this elevator keep going up and down?
That's weird. There's no cameras in the elevator. Okay, sure. I know there are. But anyway, so he lives a carefree life in New York, and then the Paladins catch up with him.
Speaking of, my man can jump anywhere in the world. The only caveat is he has to see it first.
He has to have been there.
No, because he has pictures all on his wall.
But he's been there. He takes pictures to help him remember.
Okay.
At least that's what I took away from it, was like he had to have been there. He takes a picture.
I guess he's there in the bank when he sees the safe that he
I think that's what they were kind of alluding to. Like he has to see the inside of it.
He just needed to see the picture of it.
No, he has to have been there. I think that was like when he was like, because when he's a kid, he teleports to the library twice.
Yeah.
And I think it's because he's been there, and like he goes there to hide from his dad a lot.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I think that's why he kept ending up there. And then he put it together like, if I see the inside of the bank, I can go to the inside of the bank.
Yeah.
And then he overshoots it, ends up in the bathroom, and then makes it into the vault.
Into the bank, yeah. This is when he's first learning how to jump, by the way.
And it's very violent when he first learns.
Yes, he does not. When you meet David in the present in 08 when the movie takes place, he can stealthily jump places without any noises. But when he's not paying attention, it makes like a boom noise, and there's destruction.
When he's not thinking about it, he cracks the floor, the walls, like it's a whole thing.
But you see in the movie, he's just jumping everywhere.
He literally just
he's sitting on the couch and the controller's over there. He doesn't want to move, so he just jumps over.
Yeah, he just boom. Like, man, talk about lazy. Like, my guy's reading the paper and he just like leans over from one side of the counter over to the fridge and just
Okay. But actually, that's cool. It's cool stuff like that. Though,
No.
like this movie, so that's what you would do if you had that power. That's what you would do.
Absolutely. So anyway, he's doing his thing. He goes to London to find a one-night stand, and he does a really risky jump in front of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Up to the girl in the bar, which catches the attention of our second jumper, Griffin, who is played by Jamie Bell. And then he follows him, and he's like, you know, like, if I can find you, then, you know, like, they'll find you or whatever. And then they find him. Sam Jackson straight up finds him. Who plays Roland. Yeah. And by the way, Sam Jackson is a ninja in this movie. Because he
gave him white hair, which was dope.
Yeah, like, who knew? Who knew that Sam Jackson with white hair would just work?
It worked so well.
Worked great. But like, my guy caught him mid jump with that like electric baton thing.
So they have this baton thing because if you're being shocked, you can't focus enough to make a jump. So they have this like electric baton thing, and he just straight up murks this guy with the baton.
Like David's like, all right, well, I'm gonna jump, and he's like, no, you're not, and like catches him like in the stomach jump. And then in the air, and like I was like, oh wow, shoo.
He messes this dude up.
And he messes him up real good, but David's strong and gets away.
Yeah.
And so like the whole movie, to sum it up, like him and Griffin are like, oh, we gotta team up because, you know, like superheroes like Marvel.
Well, you're forgetting about Millie, which, you know, is a small part of the movie. But...
Is it? I like Millie. She serves like almost no purpose.
It is important to my pitch that you talk about Millie for a second.
Look, Millie is a big part of mine as well.
Okay.
Because I felt like her role was essentially bait.
Yeah, agreed.
So he's
kind of essentially baiting my pitch too, but I agree.
So kind of mine too, but so he goes back to his hometown when he's running away, and he finds Millie, and they, you know, he's like, "Yeah, you should just come to Rome with me." And then he takes what I'm assuming for him is excruciatingly long plane ride.
I imagine that plane has to be so long.
I feel like the whole plane ride to Rome, he's just like, oh, sweet geez. Like, I really hope in my mind, like my mind's eye, as soon as she fell asleep, he went to the bathroom and jumped somewhere and just like hung out and played video games for a while and then jumped back.
I hope so.
So they get to Rome, they do their, you know, romance montage, and then, you know, like eventually all the paladins show up. Him and Griffin team up, and then they end up kidnapping Millie at some point, and that's where what I mean, like she just kind of becomes bait. Griffin has a plan to like blow them all up with
to be fair, she's essentially the regular stand-in person with these like ninja assassins on one side and these telepathic other like badasses on the other side.
Yeah.
So like she really can't do a whole lot.
Yeah. Essentially they get arrested. He gets let go by his mom, who's also a paladin.
And you find out it's a paladin.
They
left him when he was 5.
Left him when he was 5 because he jumped and she didn't want to kill him. So they break up. He puts her on a plane back home. And then
he meets her at the airport later.
And then she goes home, and then like
she knows he's a jumper at this point.
At this point, weird. Yeah, it's not weird. She goes home. Oh no, she doesn't know he's a jumper at that point.
He doesn't? She doesn't?
No, she doesn't until like she takes the entire like 10-hour flight home, finally gets home, and then he just pops up, and she's like, "What are you doing here? You left me in Rome." And at no point her brain, she wasn't like, were you on the same plane? Like,
okay, I forgot about that part.
Because he shows up.
She finds out that he's a jumper.
Yeah, because she's like, I need you to leave. And then he's like frustratingly, he jumps in front of her.
That's right. In her apartment.
Yeah. And then he's like, yeah, I can teleport. Surprise. And then
So I guess early on, we should say early on, it's established that Griffin, the other jumper, is a little bit more seasoned.
Yes.
Than because he can jump objects with him.
Yeah.
Hayden Christensen can only really jump people with him.
Yes.
And I'm only saying this because it pays off later in the movie because I don't want to call him Jamie because his real name. But Griffin tells David that he knew somebody that tried to jump a whole building before and died doing it.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's a really cool scene where Griffin and David are like driving a car, jumping around in a car, and then
they jump in the air in one
it's
scene.
nuts. It's nuts. And then they get back to their Griffin's base, and he learns, which is in the desert, and he finds out that Griffin has like a safe nuke that he's just gonna blow up the Paladins with.
Because this is his chance to get them all in one fell swoop.
Yeah, but he needs Griffin's help to save Millie because they kidnapped Millie. And he's like, well, I'm going to blow him up. Sucks that, she's going to die. Oh, well. Yeah. Like, he doesn't really care. He's just
for the greater good.
Yeah, for the greater good. I kill Paladins. Sorry, bud. I'm going to kill him. Yeah. And so they fight. Like, they jump buses at each other. Like, it's a banana balls fight.
It's crazy. It
is a banana balls fight. At some point, Roland shows up because they have a device that they can use to follow jumpers.
Yeah, like they leave, like when jumpers jump, they leave kind of like
a scar
for it's like a portal that's slowly closing behind them, and he has a machine that can keep that open.
Yeah, which again, I have something for in mind. Okay. So they're fighting. They jump a bus at Roland. Like, it's a whole thing. It's a big fight in the desert. It's wild.
Yeah.
And then essentially, it boils down to they both try to jump the bomb to separate locations. They end up like jumping it into a pool, and then he gets the detonator, and they fight for the detonator. They end up in like Chechnya, and then David jumps him into like an electrical like power line,
and then he can't move.
He can't jump because he's getting electrocuted. So he breaks the detonator, and then he jumps back to Millie's house to try and save her. He gets pseudo captured, and then to what you were saying, he straight up jumps her apartment,
the whole apartment, back to Griffin's base.
Well, no, to the library.
To the library. That's right, yeah.
He jumps an entire apartment floor to like the public library.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of an anticlimactic ending, because like it's just like it's a really crazy fight. Sam Jackson's like, you're just gonna have to accept it and die. Like, you can't jump things. It's okay. Yeah. And then he jumps the building, and then jumps Millie out, and then
jumps
Sam Jackson to the Grand Canyon and a cliff face, and just leaves him there. Doesn't kill him.
No, just leaves him. In fact, he says, I could have killed you, but I'm choosing not to. Which again comes up later for me. Yeah, me too. I can't wait.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be real good. And then we cut to, I don't know, X amount of time later. They're not really clear. Millie and David are still together. He walks up to a house, rings the doorbell. Kristen Stewart answers the door, and it's like, is Mary home? And she's like, Mom.
Yeah. So Kristen Stewart's his half sister.
So yeah, she's
his sister.
Half sister.
Half sister. Okay.
I mean, it's not clear, but I'm assuming half sister, just by the age difference, because she was definitely younger than him, but not by much. I didn't clarify that in mine, so
me neither. So it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. So she comes down, and he's like, so you're a paladin, and she's like, yeah, that's right. You were 3 when you jumped, and it was either kill you or leave you. So I left. And he's like, so what now? And she's like, well, now I'm going to give you a head start because I love you. But implying that she's still going to try and kill him.
Yep.
And then the last thing you hear is Millie like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, okay, cool. Can we go somewhere warm? Cause I'm freezing. And that's the end of the movie. But it was a good, it was like, it's really good from point A to point B. It's really good. So Tim,
the 20th Century Fox, we're looking at you.
We need
you right now.
We need the sequel.
So here's my pitch.
Well, real quick, I need to know about how are you doing before you get in this? How's your headspace? You good? You doing good?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing real good. It's been a busy week for me with work and stuff like that. And also, I've if you haven't watched that '90s show, you should because it's really good. It's really good.
I didn't watch that '70s show.
It wasn't like but I watched it all in one day, so it's definitely worth a watch.
Okay.
I've also been playing. I don't know if I want to say it. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I've been playing Hogwarts Legacy.
Bro, I've got 48 hours in Hogwarts Legacy. I don't give a f.
You know, however you feel about it, however you feel about it. But me and Cody both are Harry Potter nerds from back in the day.
We can separate rolling from
if
everything.
You can't, that's fine. But me and Cody can, so we're enjoying the game.
And that's what we'll leave that.
Playing the crap out of it. That's what we'll leave that.
It's an amazing game.
But other than that, I've been doing great, man. Haven't streamed too much, but that's because I got other things going on.
Yeah.
But yeah. So here is my pitch for Jumper 2.
Let's hear it.
All right. So I'm bringing Jumper to the modern times. So I'm bringing it to 2023. So the movie takes place 15 years after the events of Jumper 1. All right. And David and Millie, they're living in a secure, remote island in the Caribbean, right? They went someplace warm, right? He was like, we're going off the grid. I don't want these people chasing me. I don't want them finding me. We're going to go to an island where nobody lives at. We're going to build us a little hut or a house or something like that. And then I'll jump to get some supplies whenever we need it. But all I'm doing is necessary jumps. We're not leaving the island. We can just have fun on the island.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're not doing anything unnecessary, I'm going to get supplies and I'm going to get books. And the books are important because David wants to know why the Jumpers and the Paladins hate each other so much. Sure, there's a religious thing to it, but he wants to know how it all started. You know what I mean? He wants to try to find some sort of history. And you can't really get the internet on a remote island where you don't want to be on the grid. So he has to try to get books from whatever library he can make it to while he's getting supplies. So they've been chilling on this island. We'll call it Millie Island because he probably named it after her because of these mushy gushy like that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? He hasn't seen Griffin since he left him in the electrical thing. He hasn't seen Roland since he left him on the side of the mountain, and he hasn't seen his mom since she threatened his life. So he's been literally living in seclusion the best way he possibly can. So they're reading all these books and they're hanging out, and Millie's trying to help him too because she's like, "Well, I got nothing else to do. I'm stuck on this island now. You know, besides like being really hot, I guess. Not like."
I know what you're saying.
Temperature-wise, I only have a whole lot else to do because we're just on this remote island. So they're trying to do this from like a safe distance and like just figure out why the they can't really find much. You know what I mean? They only find little tidbits like, the Paladins might have started from like some religious extremist groups kind of thing way back in the day in ye old Marylands. I don't know. We'll call it England because everything started in England, right?
Yeah, Paladins.
So yeah, Paladins. Somewhere in Europe, they didn't like them, and they thought that like they're battling against these people they call witches, which are the Jumpers in this case. You know, because they can teleport, and even in the first movie, they say only God should have this kind of power. But they've kind of hit a dead end. You know what I mean? They got all these books. They've read it all. They have like this massive library that they have of just like books that they've been reading. They're very literature-bound people over the last decade and a half.
Sure.
But I guess that's what you have to be if you're on a remote island.
I mean, yeah.
So Millie gets an idea, and she's like, "Hey, you know where you want to go for some supernatural stuff, some supernatural book stuff about history?" And he's like, "Where?" And he's like, "The Vatican. We need to go to Rome, to the Vatican, and get in their secret chamber below and get the books." And he's like, "Okay."
Was he like, why did it take you 15 years to tell me this?
Yeah, but that's because they they exhausted all the resources over the 15 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's a movie. It makes sense. But he could say, like, you waited 15 years to
waited 15 years to come up with the Vatican?
But good point. We should go to the Vatican. All right. So that's where they're at right now.
Sure.
Meanwhile, Roland, he got off the cliff.
Sure.
He got off somehow. He climbed down. He's a ninja. You know, he's very trained. He could have climbed down. He could have smoke signals, something like that. He got picked up.
Yeah.
And for the last 15 years,
I'm sure he's got a tracker.
Yeah, it's been business as usual for this guy. He's hunting down jumpers. He's looking for David. He's looking for Griffin, and he's killing every other jumper along the way while he's looking. So we catch up with him, and he's tracking one down in Australia, right? And there's this big scene where like he's running, and they have that machine where he can like jump through the portal after him, and they've made it smaller now. It's like a watch kind of thing, so like it doesn't even have to be like this big. Because in the first one, it was like this big cube thing.
Yeah.
Well, now it's like a watch thing, so he can actually like just like hit a button and then just he's almost become like a jumper himself in ways,
right?
Because he can just follow them wherever they go. So they track down this one in Australia, and also at this point, since I need to tie it all together, he has tracked down Mary over the last 15 years because he's David's mom, or she's David's mom, and he needs to have some sort of connection to him. So like he's like, you're gonna work with me now because your son's a jumper and you didn't tell anybody this. So shame on you. You're now part of my crew. Let's go kill your son and a whole bunch of other people while we're at it. And she's just like, I guess I don't have much of an option. I did kind of betray my order a little bit by not telling you all that I had a son that was a jumper, and now he's kind of a problem for all of us, which makes logistical sense.
Sure.
Like the fact that in the movie, like Samuel Jackson sees a picture of her and just doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
He doesn't like, that's a paladin. That's one of my people. He just goes, huh. And that's it. So it makes sense if you think about it. That like she would have to be under some sort of pressure when this came out from her people. So he's like, you're gonna come with me. We're gonna eradicate all the jumpers. So they track down one in Australia, and they catch him. And Roland takes out his knife, and he does the whole thing like only God should have this power. And then he looks at Mary and says, "You kill him." And then Mary's like, "Okay, sure. I mean, I don't care anything about this." And he kills a jumper. And then before she does it, though, there's a slight hesitation because she realizes that this jumper in particular that he told her to kill sort of looks like David in ways.
Okay.
Like she hasn't seen him in 15 years, but 15 years ago, this would have looked like Hayden Christensen in 2008. Like there's similarities. So she goes to stab him, and then there's a little bit of hesitation, and then he kind of comes like you do that thing right. He kind of comes up behind her and goes, "Do it," and then she finishes the job. You know what I mean? And then he says, "You need to steel yourself and get ready for this because this is going to happen with your son, and you're going to be there when this happens." And she just goes, "I know what I have to do. I'm loyal to I'm loyal to you guys, and I know what has to be done to me." And he goes, "Good." And then he gets a phone call, right? And we hear on the phone call, we've identified his next location. That's all you hear is we've identified next location. And he smiles and says, "I'm on the next plane." All right. So we cut back to Millie and David, right? They've recently jumped to the Vatican, and there's a little bit of espionage there because they have to kind of sneak into the Vatican. And then David kind of does the thing where he did in the Colosseum in the first movie where he kind of jumps as he's seeing things open around him. So like eventually he works his way down to the secret library of the Vatican kind of thing.
Yeah.
So then they get a moment where they're like searching through all the books and they're trying to find stuff, and David's just kind of jumping all over, like Millie can only look at one book at a time.
Yeah.
And he's like jumping to other platforms. He's bringing down all kind of books for her to read. And they find this book called The Paladin Pride. And they're like, "Oh, snap. This might have some information in it." And it does. But, this might have some information in it. And around this time, they start hearing keys at the door. Like
it's all in Latin, too, by the way.
Yeah. Well, Millie took Latin in college.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. They had nothing to do with the last 15 years.
Yeah.
They learned Latin. So they hear somebody come in and they're like, "Oh, we gotta go." So they jump back out of the Vatican to a nearby like little cafe or something like that. So they jump there, and as they get there, there's Roland and his mom right there. Like he was not expecting them to be there, but there's like 20 different paladins with them. Like they were like ready for something, and David just stumbled upon them by accident. And Roland kind of smiles and was like, "Well, this isn't what I was expecting, but go get them." And the other like his like henchmen like go after him, but David, he's had a little bit of practice now, so he's a little bit cooler with his moves. He can do a little bit more things. He's kind of protecting Millie, And just because I don't want Millie to be bait in this, she also, maybe they learned some karate kung fu together.
They learned some self-defense.
Yeah, been on an island for 15 years. They picked up a couple self-defense books. They know enough moves to defend themselves.
Yeah.
Everything with plot hole is just like, well, they're on an island for 15 years.
They figured it out.
I don't know.
They learned how to do kung fu, and they learned how to
read Latin
to cook Gordon Ramsay's entire cookbook to perfection.
Absolutely. So yeah, he's having some practice. He can do something like he does cool jumper stuff where he has a knife and he can throw the knife and it could like stab somebody across their face and then he can catch it on the other side. Just the reason why jumper's cool is because of how ridiculous some of the stuff can be in the movie. So he's doing all of that. But the numbers game, it starts to catch up to them. I mean, it's 20-2. Eventually, it's going to catch up with them. So he's like, we got to book it, right? So then they start jumping. Who do they jump into? Griffin, right? They just jump right on into him. He's on a rooftop with a bunch of other dudes, right? Like 3 or 4 other dudes are with him.
Paladins or jumpers?
Huh?
Paladins or jumpers?
Jumpers. We'll get into that. We'll get into what Griffin was doing here in a second, but he has jumpers with him. Because in the first movie, it's alluded that there's more jumpers, but besides the one that Roland killed, all you see is Griffin.
Yeah.
And David, just the jumpers. So I'm introducing more jumpers into this.
Okay.
Thing. So he's there with like 3 jumpers, right? And then David and him, they have this weird moment, and Griffin's like, "I've been looking for you. I still owe you from leaving me in Chechnya or whatever he left him that one time." So then it becomes like this weird combination of this big fight where it's David versus Griffin, but also David and Griffin versus the Paladins that they have to stop. They're chasing them at the same time because they're following them through the jump portals and whatnot with their little watch kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So like they're fighting each other while simultaneously fighting the Paladins, because I think that's hilarious to see.
That's great.
Like it's kind of like the first Avengers movie where like they're fighting each other just as much as they're fighting the enemy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. So anyway, they're fighting the Paladins, but then they get like way too into it with each other, and then they start having that jump battle that they have in the movie where they're fighting on top of the Golden Gate Bridge, and then they're fighting at a kid's birthday party because that's funny, and then they're fighting at like some office awards ceremony, like just random places where they're just jumping to and battering the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
Until finally, David realizes like, oh no, I left Millie alone with Roland and 20 Paladin dudes. I need to go back and save her. So he turns Griffin and is like, look, we'll finish this another time. I got to go save Millie, who is probably his wife by now. I mean, they've been together
on an island for 15 years.
Yeah, I got to go save my wife now. So you and I have to put our differences aside and realize we're on the same team and work together. And Griffin's like, I'm not going to forget about this, but you're right. So he goes back, and honestly, Millie is captured. But she could fight off. Maybe there's a couple people with like broken noses or limbs and stuff, just because I want her to have a moment to shine. Because she essentially just is kind of bait. But as I said in the prequel or the preamble to this, she's the only normal person in a group of like superhumans. Yeah, she can't do a whole lot. So not only is Roland there, but who has Millie in like the grapples and whatnot is Mary, his mom. So his mom's there and Roland's there and the Paladins are there. And Roland's like, listen, this girl right here, she has nothing to do with this. She's just an unfortunate bystander that got caught in the middle of this. You two turn yourselves in right now to me, and I will let Millie go free unharmed. And like Griffin kind of looks at David, and he's having this moment of like contemplation. By the way, it's also important to realize that David had a bag on him, and the book is in the bag. So the Paladin book is in the bag. I didn't forget to mention it earlier. They stuffed it with David. So David has the book. So Griffin looks at David, and David's having like this crisis of conflict moment. And then Griffin's like, you can't do this, man. And he just hugs on to David, and they jump out of there. And they go back, and so when they land, they jump into this dark room, and they start having like a little bit more of a fight. He's like, why did you let me just leave Emily there? And he's like, you got to think about the greater good. This is the problem that we had last time. This is what we wouldn't be in this situation if you would let me just end Roland last time. But you had to save your girlfriend, now wife, and look where we're at. We're back in the same boat because you can't man up and do something for the greater good. And he's like, what are you even talking about? What have you been doing the last 15 years? He's like, I could ask you the same question. Have you been what have you been doing? Hiding? And he's like, yeah, I got off the grid. I protected me and the people I cared about most. And he was like, wow, hurtful. I thought we were really cool, but whatever. I'll let that slide. Because you taught me something last time, that team ups can work if you're with the right people. And then like he like clicks a button and the lights turn on, and then all these other jumpers start just coming in. You know, like he clicks a signal or something, like the jumper signal in the air, and all like 15, 20 jumpers all just show up in this room. He's like, I've been putting a team together. Welcome to the Jumper Collective. You know, you can have a cool name than that. I came on the spot.
Sure,
So we're going with the Jumper Collective. He's like, me and my guys, we're taking the fight to the Paladins. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of running, and I'm tired of being afraid for my life. I'm bringing the fight to them. So anyway, that's where we kind of end up with there. And then we cut to Millie, and she's been interrogated by the Paladins. They want to know like what David's doing. Where is he? What have you guys been doing the last 15 years? And you know, they're doing. I'm not going to get into the details. Whatever torture, off-screen torture stuff.
Sure.
That's what's happening to Millie. You're not seeing it on screen because Jumper is supposed to be PG-13, and we're going to kind of keep it that way. So she's all like beat up, and she has like that bloody nose thing, and maybe like a black eye or something. And Mary walks in and is just like, "Listen, all this can be over. I just need you to tell me where my son is." And she was like, I have no way of knowing. He's a jumper. He can legitimately be anywhere in the world. And he's like, what have you guys been doing the last 15 years? And she was like, I would never betray your son like you clearly have. And then that kind of hits home to her. And she's like, I did what I had to do to protect my son. And now it's coming back to bite me. And it'll bite you too if you don't watch yourself. And then she walks away, and Millie goes back to being tortured or whatever.
Sure.
So a day or so has passed, right? And like you can tell because they're all wearing different clothes, they're not hurt anymore. And Griffin's like, listen, I was going to the Vatican to try to find some information, and apparently I was intercepted by Roland, because Roland was actually there for Griffin, not David. David was just a surprise because he would have no way of knowing because he's been off the grid for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And David's like, are you talking about this? And then he pulls out the book of Paladin information.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, let's find out together. And then I kind of got a little bit vague on this because I didn't really know exactly where I wanted to go with it. But we'll just say that it started as some holy war between like Paladins thinking that they were witches and wizards and whatnot, and thinking that went against God and it was disgusting and demolished and whatnot. And that essentially over the course of time, the Paladins have been nothing but victorious. They've been in the zone, dubs all the time. They're just getting the win. They are, they're the New England Patriots in the early 2000s. They are just demolishing teams, and it's not even funny.
Yeah.
And they almost drove the Jumpers out of existence. They almost got rid of all of them, but a few managed to survive, and then through not jumping anymore and keeping it a secret, managed to repopulate to the point where they are now. So David tells Griffin that he has to try to do something to get Millie back. He can't just not do anything.
Yeah.
And Griffin's like, well, we could try to do something risky and call out Roland to a specific area, and you can try to save Millie, and then I'll try to take him out. And then he's like, all right, cool. I'm going to try to trade the book for Millie and be like, listen, I got this information about you guys that you probably don't want people knowing. So I'm going to trade you this book for my wife. And Griffin's like, sounds like a good plan. If it doesn't work, we're going with plan B. Gat. So they jump to this, like, it's like a strip mall kind of thing, but it's in like a small town. It's important it's in like a small town. Like It's in the Kansas somewhere.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of a town where they would have this, but like it's really just a street, and all the shops are on there, and people are just kind of hanging out and around. So they go to like this little cafe thing, and Roland and Mary are there with Millie, and they're at this table, and Millie is handcuffed, but she has her hands underneath the table, so you can't see that, so it doesn't look suspicious to the onlookers and whatnot. And David sits down and offers up the book, and Roland's like, I don't care about this book. You can post this all over the internet if you want to. We're here. We're taking you guys out. You guys are abominations. You guys are like a scar on the world, and I'm here, or a scab on the world, and I'm here to rip that scab off so we can begin healing as a society. So obviously a fight ensues, right? because even though it's just David, like the paladins are like hanging out in the background, they're all hiding there, and obviously like the jumpers can just jump in whenever they want. So they do like this awesome thing where like like the paladins have upgraded like taser tech, where, like they have like guns now, and they still have the batons, and then they have like the Percy kind of thing where they have like the glove that they touch them and or punch them or whatnot, like they can shock them and whatnot to prevent them from doing it. So they're all just kind of fighting, and then like I said, they're doing like cool jumper shit where like they're just bouncing around, like one of them uppercuts them and he jumps in the air and then punches them down or something like that, like just cool stuff like that. And then like they do stuff with the baton, like where like they like catch them in mid jump, hitting them and whatnot. Just the cool stuff that you see in the first movie. And like Roland and Mary aren't fighting; they're just kind of hanging back with Millie, like watching this all kind of go down, like as like she's our last line of defense kind of thing. Sorry, lose my train of thought. Griffin and David, they're fighting like mid-tier, kind of like paladin, right, dude? Like they're not rolling or anything. They're
cannon fodder.
They're cannon fodder, but they're like beefier ones. That, like they have to actually like try to fight and whatnot. And just because I want to see it, I want Griffin to kind of do like he did in the first movie, where he like gives somebody the finger, and then like he like gets on a car and like jumps off the car, not like jumping, but like legitimately like jumps, and then does a jump, and then just disappears. And the guy's like, "What?" And then just because I want to see it, I want him to throw a train at him. I want him to go to a train and then just jump a train into this little podunk town, and that's how he kills this guy. He throws like a locomotive engine at this guy. It smashes into him and then into some cars and then into a building. You're like, "Ooh, that guy's dead."
Yeah.
So then David does some mediocre jumper stuff, not as cool as Griffin, where he's throwing trains and stuff at anybody, because his part's coming up here in a second. So he just kind of like stabby and kills that other guy eventually. And then while all this fighting's going down, Roland hands Mary a gun and says, "You have a clear shot at David. Do it right now and end this." And Mary picks up the gun and she points it at David, and she's just looking at him, and you see that the close up on like the trigger finger like slowly going down, and he's like, "You can do it. You know you can do it." So then she points it out and she closes her eyes and bam, she fires, right? But Millie jumps in the way and Millie gets shot. And then David sees this and he's all like, "No." And there's like the slow motion thing where like he's running and Millie's falling, and there's like the little blood thing that's kind of like spurting out of her, and like he catches her and then boom, immediately jumps out of there. And then they end up at the Eiffel Tower, because the Eiffel Tower was in that little snow globe that he gives her at the beginning of the first movie. And for the purposes of the story, they've been on this island, so he's not taking her to Paris yet. He's like, "I always wanted to take you here, so I brought you finally." And then she's like, "You need to go." And it's all a big emotional moment. Like, "You need to go and you need to finish this." And then she dies right there at the Eiffel Tower. Okay. And it's really sad. Damn. And then David starts to cry, and then he starts getting mad. And he starts getting real mad, and he jumps right back to where he was, and he tackles Roland. Now, this is where you're going to kind of have to follow me here. Okay. Because Roland and David are going to get into a fight at this moment, obviously. And it's one of those things where anytime, like, so if David's touching somebody, he can take them with him to jump, right? Yeah. So every time he's hitting Roland, they're jumping someplace else, right? So like he tackles them, and then boom, they're at like the Taj Mahal, right? And then like they're fighting there for a little bit, and then he punches them, and then boom, they're at the Great Wall of China. And then he's punching them again, and then boom, they're at like a Target or a Walmart or something. Sure. And then they're fighting, and they're in a cabin somewhere. And then it gets to the point where like David starts getting the upper hand, and then you like kind of just zoom in, and on the middle of the screen, you're just seeing Roland and David just messing up Roland. In the background, you're just seeing flashes of other things like trees, cars, streets, a bridge. Like you're just seeing just things flash in the background, but you're still focusing on David just beating the hell out of Roland. Sure. Until finally he picks him up and throws him, boom, into a bookcase we're back at the library from the first movie. This poor library just keeps getting messed up by David.
Yeah.
But it's a safe spot, like it's the first spot that he went to when he first jumped. Like it's his like home away from home almost, so to speak. Like it's a safe house. And then he has like there's this big monologue between the two where he's like, all I wanted was to just live a life and be normal. And yeah, I might have done some things I'm not proud of, but all I ever wanted was to find love and be happy, and that's what Millie gave me. And until you came in my life, this didn't have to be the way it was. And then, Roland's like, well, yeah, well, I have my own purposes too, and he does the whole abomination thing because that's the whole point line is they think that what they're doing is unnatural. So then, like, he stabs him with the knife, but he doesn't like get him in his heart; gets him like his side, and then
who stabs who?
Roland stabs David with the knife, like in his side, and he's just like, and this is the place where you die. And then he shocks the ever-living crap out of him to where he's just down on the ground, just writhing in pain. And he's just like, there's no way you're getting out of this one, right? And then David gets mad, right? He gets mad again, big boy mad. And then he jumps, not the whole library, but the whole city block of the library back to the small town where they were all fighting, and that's what kind of ends the fighting. Is this whole city block just dumps right onto this little area, and all the main characters like Mary and Roland and David and Griffin, they're all wearing their plot armor, so
sure,
one way or another they survive it. But most of the other paladins and even some of the jumpers, honestly, they die.
Yeah,
because a city block just dropped on them.
Yeah, they just dropped Sokovia on everybody. So
yeah, essentially. So anyway, David's exhausted. He's out of breath. He's bleeding. And he's like, finally, I can do this now. Mary, come here. I want you to watch this. He's like, I'm going to put an end to this. I'm going to do what you couldn't do. And then he's walking slowly to David. And then Mary just steps in. And he's like, I'm sorry. I want to be a loyal follower, but I couldn't kill my son when he was 5. I'm not letting you do it now. And then Roland goes, I understand. And I forgive you. And then stabs Mary, and does that movie thing where he like lifts upwards, so you know that she's like super dead.
Yeah.
you know the thing where they're like, yeah. So she's dead.
Yeah,
right?
she's real dead.
And then as she's dying, she's like, David, I'm sorry I never got to tell you that I loved you, or something emotional like that, right? So then David, he's just having a real bad day.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, last time I told you that I could have left you with the sharks, and I chose mercy, and I left you in the Grand Canyon. This time, I'm leaving the sharks with you. And he just disappears, and Roland's kind of like, the hell does that even mean? And then he comes back, and then just like this wave of water, and he just essentially like Kamehamehas this watery wave with a shark in it at Roland. It's just this insane amount of water that just like Roland's like, no! He's like flying away, and then a shark comes by, and then he like gets out of the way, but then another shark bites his arm and rips it off. And then that's the last image you see is like he's just being washed away by this whole like mountain. Like I can't express the massive, like it's like he brought part of the ocean with him into this little town, which by the way is totally destroyed now. It's gone now.
So many people are dead.
So many people are dead. No one's gonna believe anybody. The insurance is not paying for this. So anyway, David takes a deep breath. He looks at Griffin, and he's just like, let's get out of here, man. And then we cut to some time later, and David's sitting there and he's drinking tea or something like that, while like just kind of looking at like some beautiful scenery. Maybe he's in like the tropics somewhere. Maybe he's back on the island. Yeah. Just taking stuff down from memories of like Millie and whatnot. And he holds on to a picture of her. And Griffin's like, "Are you ready to do this?" And he's like, "Yeah. Now we do take the fight to the Paladins." And then boom, credits. But mid-credit scene, because we live in post-Marvel world where every movie has a mid-credit scene now. So mid-credit scene, there's a knock on a door. Door opens. It's Kristen Stewart. I don't remember her character's name.
It's Sophie.
Sophie. Okay. Yeah. Sophie answers the door, and she's like, "Can I help you?" And there, boom, it's Roland. And he's like, "Hey, I worked with your mother." And she's like, "Yeah, you look familiar." And he's like, "I have some bad news. Your mother was murdered by her son, and I was gravely injured during this, and he shows he's missing an arm now. He's like,
as you can tell,
I was gravely injured, and he's like, and I need your help to finish this fight. Boom, Jumper 3.
Okay,
and that's my pitch.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah, I'm here for that.
Yeah,
I'm here for that.
So what I did was instead, like, I was watching the movie and I was like, this movie's really awesome. I have a lot of questions, like, why do the Jumpers and Paladins kind of hate each other than like they think that it's ungodly they can jump and whatnot. And like, if I was actually writing the story, maybe I'd actually try to flesh out like a deeper rooted thing. But essentially, they've just been killing each other since like the dawn of time almost.
Yeah.
And I wanted there to be more jumpers. Like there's mention of them, but the only other jumpers you see is the one dude that gets killed in the beginning of the movie, and then Griffin and David. And I just wanted there to be more cool jumper stuff, and then them just wreak havoc with this ability, which is why Griffin's throwing trains and David's jumping whole city blocks.
Yeah.
So
okay,
there we go. There's my pitch.
Hell yeah, man. God, Fox, Disney, because it's Disney now.
Yeah.
Disney. You already got a relationship with Hayden.
Yeah. He's already come back to do a lot of Star Wars stuff. He's in Ahsoka.
Make it happen.
Yes.
Now. Okay.
All right, Cody. Lay your pitch on me.
All right. So it's really funny because we have a lot of similar beats.
Oh, do we really?
So.
Okay.
That's fine. It's fine. It's nowhere near the same. It's nowhere near the same.
Okay, cool.
So, my movie starts, opening credits. We get like quick little flashes because it's been a long time since the first one. Mm-hmm. So we get a quick couple flashes of the end of the first movie.
Okay.
We get like just like the moment of like Kristen Stewart going "Mom," and then Mary going, "I'm giving you a head start, son, because I love you."
Yeah.
And then Millie going,
little reminders of who these people are.
Yeah. And then Millie going, "Can we go somewhere warm?" Mm-hmm. Okay. So then we cut to 2013. Okay. This is 5 years or 5 years. Yep. 5 years after the events of the first movie. And it starts with Mary getting home late. She's in her Paladin, gray suit.
Yeah. She's doing Paladin stuff.
She gets home and Roland is sitting on the couch of her house.
Cool. Yeah. Dig it.
And we're talking like it's at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, it gets real late.
It's real late.
It's like dark, and then she flicks on the light, and he's just sitting there.
He's just sitting there.
I love it.
He's just sitting there, and he's like, "How's it going, Mary?" Because in my mind, he knew exactly who Mary was. I'm imagining the Paladins.
Didn't say anything.
Yeah, like they were. Yeah, he just intentionally didn't say anything.
Okay.
Because it's Sam Jackson. Like he's always got moves going in his head.
True.
So he saw that and was like, "Okay, cool." In my mind, he saw the picture of her and was like, "If this goes south, I have a backup."
Yeah.
So this is where that's coming into fruition. Sure. He's sitting on the couch, looking at like a laptop or something, and he greets her. He's like, "Hello, Mary," and he does. She's like, "What the hell are you doing here? Why are you in my home?" And he gives the typical like Sam Jackson like, "You really gonna make me explain it?" Like that look, like really. And then he gets up and
we work together. Yeah, I know your son's a jumper now.
Yeah, he gets up and just like casually like walking around, and he's like, you and I both know you've been covering your son's tracks for the last 5 years, and I let it slide for a little bit. He had a kid.
Oh, he's a kid? Oh, okay.
He had a kid, and you've been covering that for 5 years. I want his daughter. She's a jumper, and I want him.
Oh, wait, so David has a kid that's a daughter that's a jumper too?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's like, I want them all gone. So you're either going to help me or not. And then she's just like, I don't think we have anything else to say to each other. And he's like, no, you're right. I didn't really care either way. And then just like real quick slits her throat. Just real quick.
Just like we're often Mary in the opening credit scenes.
Just out of the gate.
Like they're saying like associate director in the bottom, and Mary's getting cut.
Yeah. Like, and you don't see it. It's just a quick just a quick arm jerk,
and then the line shows up, and then and then the hands,
and then like he might like again do like the stab like twist or the stab jerk. Either way, you know, like the classic like, yeah, you dead now.
Yeah, you're real dead now.
You're real dead. But he did it quick, and she couldn't make a noise. And then like before she goes, he's like, I want you to know I'm gonna take a lot of pleasure in killing your son and your granddaughter.
Okay.
And then she dies.
Yeah.
And then he cuts his arm like real deep, and then stabs himself in the. Now he's a trained professional.
Yeah.
He knows where to stab himself so he doesn't kill himself.
Doesn't die. Yeah.
Sticks a knife in his gut somewhere. He's hurting. He's hurting bad.
Yeah.
He hits like a signal or something on like, you know, like his iPhone, because again, you know, like it's 2013.
iPhones exist. Yeah.
iPhones exist.
It's like iPhone 3, but it exists.
So he hits like a distress signal, and he gets down on his knee because, you know, he's hurting, and then he pulls out, and it's not watch size, but he pulls out like what I imagine in my head, like essentially the size of like a grenade or something.
Sure, yeah. Like almost like a paper clip kind of thing, like almost like the size of your phone, right?
More like the size of a can.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
And he pushes the button and like sets it down, and there's a loud explosion, and it causes a jump scar.
Oh, okay.
Now it's not like it's literally like it's a device that they're used to keep a scar open. So like it creates the same effect of a scar. You couldn't jump through it. It doesn't go anywhere.
Okay.
But it has the same effect of like an inexperienced jumper, where it creates like the big explosion, like the cracks on the wall. Yeah. And it like destroys the living room.
Of course. Yeah.
And then he falls unconscious. Sophie, Kristen Stewart, comes running.
She's probably gonna awake now.
Is awake now, comes running downstairs, sees her mom dead on the floor, and Roland unconscious next to her. She's freaking out. There's a sad, you know, like she's crying and screaming, and then Roland starts to stir, and he kind of reaches towards her. And I'm assuming at this point, like, she knows who Roland is.
Yeah.
I'm assuming she knows that her mom's a paladin. She's
at this point, it's been 5 years. She probably asked, like, who is that guy?
Yeah. She knows about David. She knows that her mom's a paladin. And that, like, I don't know if I want to have any flashback moments of her, like, you know, like, I want to be a paladin, and her mom's like, no, you know, or something. But like she's aware.
She's training to be a paladin, though.
So we'll get there. But my point is, she knows who Roland is.
Okay.
And like Roland like starts like reaching towards her and is like, Sophie or something like that, and she's like, Roland, what happened? And then he just says David, and then like collapses. Yeah, passes out. All right. Cut to 14 years later.
So we're in 2027?
We're in 2027.
We're going to the future.
We're going to the future. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because of who I've cast. Like,
that's fair. Yeah.
So it's 19 years total after the events of Jumper.
Okay.
Okay.
Which is interesting, because I think when we originally did these pitches, you were going to go like immediately.
I was, but then I was like, well, I kind of like really want this movie to happen, and if by some miracle it does, like, I mean, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so it cuts to like upbeat, like fun music, and you get a masked male and a masked female running through a mall. They're both holding like I don't know, new laptops or something, or PS5s. I don't know, dealer's choice.
Yeah.
They're running through a mall, laughing with each other. Security's chasing them. They're just having a good old time.
Yeah, they're just having the jollies.
Having the jollies. They're laughing. Yeah. We have this fun moment. They're parkouring around the like busy mall.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Concord Mills.
Like
they're just booking it.
This kid there eating candy.
Yeah. There's some slow moments of like the dude like parkouring over a table while a kid's like licking an ice cream cone.
Just imagining like the parkour from like the 90s Power Rangers movie. totally but better. Yeah So like this happens, they look at each other, they're laughing, and they're like, you know, like, see you around, and then they both like split, and the security guards like she takes an immediate left,
and they're like, okay, we'll catch her first because we know there's nothing here. She went down a dead end, and they turn the corner, she's gone, and all that's there is a water fountain.
Like they're like, whoa,
and they're like, the fuck, what?
Yeah.
And then they turn to go after him, and he's gone. And they're like, I don't understand what just happened. So then we cut to a gorgeous tropical island.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice little house.
Hey, yeah.
David and Millie are lounging on a porch, just looking out at the ocean.
Yeah.
And then the female, the young woman, she just blips into existence right in front of them.
Yep.
Takes her mask off, and it's Jenna Ortega. That's who I've cast as their daughter.
Oh, that's cool.
Because
that's really cool,
if you look at Millie and then you look at Jenna Ortega, they look like they could be related.
Very similar, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jenna Ortega's like, I thought you were going to be in Rome for your anniversary, because that was their first date.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were like, it's raining. And then they have this big fight of like, we've talked about this. They will kill you. You can't do, they can follow us. Like, you can't do this. You put your mom at risk. You put me at, like, big argument.
Getting just the third degree.
Just the third degree. They just big old fight. Okay.
Still naming her.
Yeah. And then we cut to, like, I don't know. I'm thinking like, I honestly, I was thinking like New Zealand or something.
Sure. Yeah.
Like in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
The young man appears out of nowhere, and Griffin is there with some other jumpers, and takes off his mask, and it's Tom Holland, which is why you thought it was funny, because I put Tom Holland in this movie.
Tom Holland says Joker 2 is a great movie.
Yeah, Tom Holland says Joker 2 is a great movie. And he looks at Griffin and goes, "Hey, Dad, I'm back."
Oh, Griffin had himself a little baby too?
Because if you look at them, they're very close.
They also are
I tried very close to cast these, like...
Those are really good choices for both of those actors. I'm not going to lie to you.
So it's like, it's...
Right, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's Griffin and Tom Holland, and like... I not like 20 jumpers. There's like 4 other people. It's like a couple, and then like 2 dudes that are just chilling.
The jumper initiative? Like...
No. They're just hanging out. He's just collected a couple people, and they're not like a group. It's just sort of more of like a small, like, little, like, I don't know, homeless community in New Zealand, basically. They're just like power in numbers.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, what were you doing? What'd you get? And he's like, oh, I got a PS5. And he's like, oh, sick, because he plays games.
Yeah. He's playing Xbox.
He was playing Xbox in the first one. And he's like, nobody saw you? And he was like, nah, just some Paul Blarts, make some mall cop reference.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, Sophie comes through the scar that he just came through. And she is decked out in like, not the typical paladin garb, but she is in like tactical paladin garb.
Oh, like she's suited up to kick.
Yeah. Like she's
boots to asses.
Yes. And then a couple of other paladins shows up. They surround, like they start roping and electrocuting people. And at this point,
like a really cool, like, sassy haircut.
Oh, she's got like the real shortcut.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
I'm giving Kristen Stewart is a badass in this movie.
Heck yeah, okay. I'm here for it.
I'm tired of Kristen Stewart just being like the damsel.
Honestly, if I had wrote Jumper 3, like the battle between Hayden Christensen and his half sister would have been nuts. Yeah, but go ahead.
So she's essentially Black Widow. Like, she is just wrecking shop with all of these jumpers.
Hell yeah.
Just like it's stupid. Like, I mean, she's just like wall running and flipping, and like people are like trying to jump, and she's like catching them like halfway through a jump. Like, I want some crazy stuff where like a guy tries to jump, and
like she pulls him back through the
she either reaches in with like the electric glove, pulls him back through, or like, I also had this idea that I wanted to play with where like they start to jump, and then she like gets like, I don't know, like a whip or something, whips around the torso and like rips him in half through the jump scar.
Oh yeah.
Like that's kind of what like they've advanced, and she's cold-blooded.
She is a murdering machine.
Yes. Like she
if they die, they die,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
she took Roland to heart and became an assassin
Yeah.
and murders everyone. And then
Including Tom Holland?
So I'm gonna say like Griffin puts up a fight and kills the other paladins that are with them, and then she wrecks Griffin.
Oh, okay.
Like within an inch.
Like the master to
and they have a big fight. Like I'm like he's gonna
get his moment.
He's getting his moment. Like I'm gonna say like Tom Holland and Griffin are like portaling around, and they're going through cities, and Kristen, she's got, again, like it's probably like a watch or something at this point.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
think in my mind it was more like like a pit boy from Fallout. Like it's like,
I mean, that's fine too. I was just thinking like this, you could always have something like that on you.
No, this is like, it's like if you were wearing the suit, like you'd roll up your sleeve and there'd be a little pad. Like it's something like that.
Kind
like
of
it's just
a quarterback calling plays.
Yeah. And you push the button and it's like, and so she can just like poof, go through these portals, and she's just keeping up with them.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be
she's like the Stampede in Jumanji. She's like right behind them.
But I also want to set up that like while the paladins have evolved, so had the jumpers that are actively fighting the paladins. Okay. So they have like, it's not an EMP, but it's like it's a paladin blocker. Like it blocks their tech from
diffuser.
Yeah, it blocks them from following them.
Yeah.
But he didn't have it on him, so they're like jumping around to get to the point where he can grab it and block it. But right as they're about to jump, she does like the Bellatrix Lestrange Dobby moment where she tosses a knife, and it passes through right as he pushes the button, and it catches him right in the heart.
Okay, yeah.
Griffin's dead. He gets like a moment with his son.
Like the thing where it's like, I love you, my boy.
Who I named Jason.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like it.
Excuse me. And he's like, go find David. And I'm setting it up to the point where like him and David's daughter, who I named Kimberly, they know each other. They don't know who their parents are.
Okay, that was my question. I was going to ask, like, do the people, when the two of them are running through the mall, are they aware that who they are?
They're both aware of who they are. Like they
meet.
Both
know that they're jumpers.
Yeah, they both know that they're jumpers. They met like, I don't know. Like I'm sure that there'll be a moment where they're like, you know him, like how do you what? And then they're like, yeah, we met like, I don't know, in Paris. Like I was trying to steal something. He saw me jump. He followed me, and then we got out. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
that's backstory.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's fine.
So anyway, he's like, I don't know where to go, and he's like, last I heard, they were in the Bahamas. And then we'll cut to like a week later, and he tracks them down, and he finds them, and he's like, there's this whole moment like, my dad told me to find you. And he's like, who's your dad? Like, who are you? Are you with the Paladins? Well, you know, there was like tension.
Yeah, all those real questions.
Yeah. And then Kimberly comes out, and she's like, Jason? He's like, Kim?
Yeah.
And they're like, you know each other. And that's when we get that backstory. And then he's like, my dad is Griffin. The Paladins killed him.
They got him.
He'd be like, some crazy bitch cut jumpers in half and killed my dad. And they're like, David's just going to be like, it's Sophie. Like he's not dumb. I'm not like, in my world, he has been keeping tabs on the Paladins.
So he's been kind of,
they've been moving around.
Not really.
Yeah, they've been moving around. Like they got VPNs. They're still on the grid. They're just hiding.
Yeah.
But he's been keeping tabs, and he knows that his sister has been groomed
out there murdering jumpers.
groomed by Roland, and keeping tabs on everybody.
She's like Gohan, and Roland's like Piccolo.
Yeah. All right, so they have this moment of like, I don't know what to do. He told me to find you, and then David's like, we need to end this. It's not safe for our daughter. It's not safe for you. Like talking to Millie. And we're gonna cut to the mall security, or back to the mall.
Okay.
Roland and Sophie are both walking down the mall, just jackbooted. And
booted, suited. Let's do this.
Because, like I said, like a week's gone by.
Yeah.
And they just got wind of like this disappearing girl.
Crazy story from this mall where this girl disappeared.
So they do the whole like, we need to see your security cam footage, and like we'll have a similar moment from the first movie where the guy's like, I don't have to give you that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who you are.
Where's your warrant?
Where's your warrant? Where's your, like, bruh, it's 2027. What are you even talking about?
Yeah, bro.
And Kristen Stewart's just gonna knock him the F out. Like, she's just gonna roundhouse kick him in the face and be like, why are you so polite to these idiots? And then just walks over. And there's another guy in there, and he's just like, yeah, here's my keys.
Yeah.
And, like, wallet.
You run the mall now.
Yeah, he like literally like shaking, like holds out his keys and his wallet, and she's like, and then just kicks him in the face, and then goes back to doing what she's doing.
Yeah.
And then she's like, we got 2 jumpers, and Roland's looking, and we'll say like while they both had masks, like we'll say the kid, Tom Holland, Jason, like right before he jumped, he takes his mask off to like wink at her or something like that we didn't see before, but like the adjacent like hallways caught it, and he like rips his mask off, winks, and then jumps. Yeah. And she's like, he was in New Zealand a week ago. And then
putting the two together.
This is kind of where I stopped writing because I ran out of time.
You're fine.
But essentially the way I have it playing out in my head, they come up with a plan of like, it's a real crap plan of like, similar to you, where like, we need to lure Roland out, and I'm just gonna finish this.
Oh, David's rolling out.
Yeah. And
he's
so
like, this is my fight. I'm not involving these children anymore.
Yeah, they're like, you two need to stay here. We're gonna go finish this. Meaning Millie as well.
Yeah,
because Millie has also been training. She is effectively.
I mean, 19 years have passed. They got some.
Yeah. They've been training. She's like, she's an assassin in her own right, basically. Like they've both killed paladins at this point.
Okay.
Like I think at some point, like while they're having this discussion about what we need to do, we're gonna pan over and there's just a wall of paladin knives.
Oh, that's cool.
Like,
I like that.
Like they're all like the same knife that Roland used. There's just a bunch of them.
Yeah, there's
it's just trophy. Like,
these are all the paladins we've taken.
They're like, look, we've taken out so many of these assholes. Like, we're ending this now.
Yeah, I like that. I like that imagery.
So like, they lure Roland out, and Roland's like, turns out, while I want you dead, I need you less than I need your kids. And then like, it's one of those moments where like, they expected there to be more paladins there. But like 100 paladins show up.
Oh, dude, yeah, okay.
And the paladins, again, have advanced to a point where they can not only follow jumpers, but they can essentially electrify the air enough that they can't jump.
Oh,
like they can interrupt the frequency of a small area.
Okay, so like a dome kind of thing?
Yeah, so they're like stuck.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
And then there's a big fight. They capture both Millie and David.
Okay.
And we'll say the kids didn't listen, and they followed, and they saw this. They saw this happen.
As like late teens, early 20-year-olds.
They're like 20 at this point. They're 19, 20.
Yeah.
Because Jenna Ortega is 20 and Tom Holland's like 25, but he looks 12, so I figured it worked.
Yeah. That man's gonna be 80 years old and like 30.
Yeah. So this is like halfway through the movie.
Okay.
The second half of the movie is essentially Tom and Kimberly, or Jason and Kimberly. I gotta stop calling him Tom.
Well, I mean, Tommy and Kimberly were Power Rangers, so I totally get it.
That's where my head was at.
Yeah.
They're just sort of trying to come up with a way to get Kimberly's parents out safe, because there's no grudge between Tom Holland's character and David. Right?
Yeah, he didn't know who this man was until a little bit ago.
They didn't know any beef. Like, he knew some of the stories, like he knew what happened, but 19 years is a long time. Griffin grew up.
Yeah.
Griffin was like...
Griffin's petty in my...
No, Griffin's petty, but 19 years, he let it go.
Yeah.
Like, they probably would have like been like, I'm gonna get you back one day, but let's go get a beer, like that level of like.
I mean, that's kind of where it was at with my pitch too.
Yeah.
Like, he's not really mad at him, but he wants to, put some hurting on him.
Yeah. So I think the kids get up to like a little bit of like espionage. Like they break into like the Paladin HQ to try and find out where they're keeping David and Millie. There's some fights, like, they're chasing. Like, I think we get another car chase where like I learned some tricks from my dad, and like they're jumping cars. Like, I think that's
so cool.
It's so cool. But because Kristen Stewart's a badass, she's also driving cars through these jump scars, or like a bike.
Yeah, I'm 100% here for
like,
all of this.
She's taking like I don't know, not a dirt bike, but like a Kawasaki or something, and just ramping through these jump scars.
Hell yes, my guy.
It's getting dumb, but it's so good.
That's what makes Jumper awesome, though.
Yeah, like it's getting ridiculous. But like I need her Paladin character to be so formidable, it's scary.
Mm-hmm. Like because Roland's a threat, but you need her to be like, she's more of a threat than Roland.
Roland is a threat. He's in charge of the Paladins at this point, but he's old.
Yeah, it's been 20 years.
It's been 20 years. Like, my guy's old, and like
probably his white hair isn't just white anymore. It's legit white.
It's actually white. Like, it's white and gray now, and like he's like,
and it's thinner.
He's got the arthritis. Like,
his hairline's back to here.
Yeah. Like, we're gonna make him look old. Like, I mean, Sam Jackson is older, but like we're gonna make him like look older than he is.
He's not gonna look like Nick Fury.
Old. Yeah, he'd be old.
Maybe not Mr. Glass old, but old.
No, not Mr. Glass. Maybe not. Maybe closer to Black Snake Moan. I don't know.
Okay. Either way.
But like,
he's gonna wear the white beater.
No, but he's gonna be old.
Character from Black Snake Moan in this movie.
No, he's definitely take on the role of like the leader, but like he can still hold his own. He can still kill jumpers, but he like
he's like, you're younger, you do it.
He's taken the desk job at this point.
Yeah,
but he's still like actively in the field while they're doing things.
Like Nick Fury.
Yeah, exactly.
If you take his character from Black Snake Moan and Nick Fury and put them together,
legitimately where my head was at.
Okay, cool.
I was like, I need older Nick, like I just like, I need like crazy old, like crazy, like mentally crazy and old, and then like Nick Fury.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good combo for this. Yeah, I like it.
So it's just Kristen Stewart, like literally like driving her bike on the side of buildings and like following them through jump scars.
She's, like,
and
drifting on the side of buildings and stuff like that.
Yeah, like it's nuts. And then
no fear. She's doing this with no fear. Reckless abandon.
Yeah, like to the point where like he makes a jump in the car that like the bike couldn't quite get to, and she jumps off the bike and like wingsuits through the scar. Like, she is not giving up. She wings
single F. No F's are given.
Nope. She like wings through the scar and like grapple hooks onto the car, and then like it's just it's stupid.
No, this is like Terminator 3 type of like not giving an F.
No, like to the point where like I want this chase to end where he jumps the car, like he sees a plane and jumps the car up to the plane's level. Because she doesn't have like a helmet or anything on, neither do they. He sees the inside of the plane and jumps. Her and him and Kimberly both jump into the plane.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say Kristen Stewart, like before the car like plummets, she manages to grapple onto the plane, and is just hanging on for dear life.
Oh my god, she's attached to a plane.
She's attached to a plane.
This woman is brutal,
ruthless. Like she hits a button, little helmet.
By the way, 100%, I'm here for all of this.
I'm just saying, I was like, if we're going to do it, you got to go buck wild with it.
Absolutely.
So she hits a button, little like Lost in Space helmet, just like, and she's just like Terminatoring like up this like rope. This
with like the upper arm strength of a Greek god or something.
Like it's so ridiculous.
Like Tom Cruise hanging onto the side of the plane.
Yeah, like this is a 747. Like this is a big plane.
Yeah.
And she's just hanging onto the tail. Like it's ridiculous. And then like we'll say that like the pilot, like there's like a pressure leak, and so they take the plane lower to even out the pressure, and then she like blasts out a window but because the pressure's like somewhat evened out, it doesn't like explode the plane.
Suck everything out. Yeah.
It's still a lot of air. There's still a lot of air, and there's a lot of, but like
the
it's
plane's going several hundred miles an hour.
Yeah. It's still like, it's rough. They're gonna have to emergency land, but they're low enough that it didn't explode.
Yeah.
And like literally like it explodes enough like to the point where she can crawl in.
Yeah.
For the purposes of plot. I know this isn't how airplanes work, everybody. I don't care.
It's a movie.
It's a movie. They depressurize everything. She breaks into the plane. They're like, oh my god. And we'll say for the purposes of, I don't want to murder an entire plane full of people. This was
Real
like
talk, because I did the train because I originally wanted Griffin to throw a plane at that guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a little too dark.
So this is a plane that's I forget the actual term because my parents have worked for airlines in the past. So it's essentially a plane it's like I don't know if they call it a dry run or what, but it's like there's no passengers. It's like
a deadhead or something.
Yeah, it's like pilots and like one like crew member.
Yeah.
And they're freaking out because there's not supposed to be anybody on the plane.
Yeah.
And then
you gotta do the scene where like the one person's grabbing a drink and they turn around and then like the two of them are just sitting there.
Yeah. And then she just like the flight attendant just passes out.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to get too dark. They're probably gonna die.
I mean, it's better than a whole.
It's better than a whole plane full of people.
Plane full of people. Which is why again I went with the train.
Yeah. We'll say they're flying pretty low, right?
Yeah.
But like it's to the point where like he looks at Kimber and he's like, "Go."
Yeah.
Like, you know where Roland is, go. And then she jumps out. And then it's just Sophie and Jason. And she's like, you got nowhere to go. Like, I'm just going to follow you. And he's like, okay. And he just like grabs onto the seats and the whole plane starts shaking. And he jumps the whole plane.
Yeah, boy.
The whole plane underwater.
He did it.
Underwater.
Oh, okay.
Underwater. Just
we're in the ocean. The ocean.
Just the depths of the Atlantic.
Or like the bottom, or like we just in it?
No, we're just in it. I thought for like I don't know, set piece wise, like it'd be kind of funny if he jumped into the Titanic.
Yeah.
But like I don't think pressure wise he would be able to survive.
You can only do so far for him to live.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna have him like hold his breath and then like jump the whole plane into the water.
You do the thing right before he moves. He goes,
yeah. And then she just like cocks her head and then just water.
Yeah.
And then I think for the pilots are dead, but he grabs the flight attendant because she's right there.
Sure.
And jumps out.
Okay.
That's the last we see of Sophie in this movie.
Oh, okay.
Okay. He jumps out.
Presumed dead, but definitely not.
Yeah. Post credits. So anyway, he jumps out. The flight attendant, he starts like coughing up water. She's fine. Pilots are definitely dead.
Yeah. Sorry, bros.
Sorry, guys.
Gotta go down with the ship. Literally.
Cut to Kimberly, who is inside. Like they know where Millie and David are at. She finds them. Roland's there. She falls into a trap, and then we'll have Jason show up and just like see what's going on, jump out, and then I want him because like the visual of like a bus just flying out of nowhere.
It's a great visual.
It's so good.
Yeah. I
just want like a moment of like, even though it makes no sense, I want you to hear the horn before you ever see the bus.
Yeah. Like.
Yeah. And then just boom, bus. And then this is where like the PG-13 movie gets to one F-bomb and Sam Jackson's like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like another fucking like, you know, some along those lines. And then just takes Roland out. Roland's gone.
Oh, he's dead.
No, he's dead. He's like dead. He's dead.
Like, okay.
He's real dead. Like this is essentially the end of the movie. Like,
okay.
There's a couple more fights with like some low level paladins. They get Millie and David, and they're like, why are you here? And they're like, you shut up. And then like they rescue them and they teleport out, and we'll say like they go, I don't know, they're all in like Rome, and like, you know, like this is where we met your dad, this is where we fell in love, like, you know, like this is our safe place. And they like, I don't know, they get a house like in the countryside of Italy or something.
Yeah, on the
and like,
Amalfi Coast or something.
yeah, and then like credits.
Yeah,
mid-credit scene,
because there has to be one.
So there has to be one. Is just
Pass it up the trilogy.
Kristen Stewart just crawling out of the ocean because she had that helmet on. Yeah,
the helmet.
When she takes the helmet off, she does start coughing up water. Like, it did fail, and she was almost gonna drown.
Yeah.
Helmet comes off. She starts spitting up water, and then we'll have just some other. I haven't cast the roles yet. We'll just have some other paladins. I'm thinking James McAvoy.
Okay.
Show up and be like, you know, like,
you want like another badass to show up, like someone in place kind of rolling.
Yeah, and just to be like, see, you got your ass kicked, and then like have some snarky like nickname for her because like they're close. And then she just smiles and she's like I don't know, something along the lines of like, plan worked great.
Oh.
And then we'll cut to like Jason, and during their fight we'll say that she got some good licks and stabs here and there, and then like
Jason?
Yeah, and then you just see like a faint blinking and like the back of his shoulder where there was a cut, and they're hanging out at the pool.
Oh, okay.
And so like she put a tracker in him, and that's where we'll cut it
in the skin.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's where we'll cut it, and that'll be Jumper 3.
Okay. All right, man. Yeah, I like it. I'm 100% on board with a badass Kirsten Stewart. Apparently,
dude, she like I'm so tired of her getting like the crappy roles. Like, there was a movie she did.
She did Charlie's Angels, where she was kind of a badass.
Yeah, but it's Charlie's Angels. I mean, like, I'm sorry if you like Charlie's Angels. That movie sucked.
The movie was not good, but
it was so bad.
She was kind of a badass in it.
There was one she did where it was like an underwater like rig.
Oh, I know that one.
It was actually really good.
Okay.
Like, I didn't hate it, and I liked her character in it. Like, it's good. And I was like, I need more like gritty Kristen Stewart. I don't need like I don't need like stoner Kristen Stewart or like emo Kristen Stewart or
she chops off the shot out of her mouth.
Yeah, I don't need all that. I need badass Kristen Stewart. So yeah, that's my pitch for Jumper 2.
I like it. Either one of those pitches, I think, would be great movies. I think that'd be great. And I like the fact that we both set up the trilogy, because we know like
it's got to be a trilogy.
If you're gonna do 2, you gotta do 3.
Yeah, I think 4 is too much. If you go past 3, it's got to be a whole saga. Like, you got to at least 6.
Yeah.
But I think a trilogy is a solid. Like, I
agree.
I feel like in the trilogy, like I don't even know if Kristen gets redeemed. You know, or if like
she's just too far gone.
She's too far gone. You know, I don't know that I want to have like a Kylo moment where he's redeemed at the end.
Moment was forced.
It was. So like I don't know if I want that. I kind of just want.
And I don't think you can do that in one movie. If from the beginning of your pitch, if it had kind of been about her redemption, I'm like, yeah, sure, you can redeem her at the end.
Yeah.
But I think that she's
gone.
She is an agent of the Paladins now.
Yeah.
Like, Roland messed her up.
Like, I think like in the end of like the 3rd movie, it would be like a fight between David, or I think it would be David and Sophie, and he would end up giving like a killing blow to her. But like I would like, through the whole movie, I would want her to be doubting Roland and what he said, but like, he's dead, so she'll never know.
She'll never know the actual truth. Yeah.
But then like, as she's dying, she's like, I think I always knew, and then like dead. Like maybe she's like redeemed like right at the end.
I think I always knew it wasn't really you.
Yeah.
But I was too far gone to stop it.
Yeah, or like, you're still an abomination. Yeah, I don't know.
I like that. I like the whole like, she's ride or die to the end.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, she's just like, we just need a villain.
You may have killed me, but they'll just replace me with somebody else.
Yeah, we just need a villain.
Yeah.
I feel like she'd make a great villain.
Yeah.
Hollywood, make Kristen Stewart a villain. Like, just do it.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
But anyway, guys,
That's our pitches.
I think we did it. And
which one did you like?
Yeah, let us know.
Leave
a review.
Leave a review. Do you think you have a better pitch for Jumper 2? First of all, go rewatch the movie, because if you haven't seen it yet, it's probably been forever since you did it.
It's a great movie.
Unless it's your favorite movie, in which case, congratulations.
I mean, I'm pretty sure.
I'm sorry you never got your sequel.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know which one had the better pitch. If you think you have a better pitch, let us know that too. If you think both our pitches suck, go ahead and say that too.
Let us know. We'll take we'll take the engagement.
Yeah. If you'd like for us to do a pitch on something, we have a lovely Discord page that you can follow that I'm sure Cody has now linked.
Yep, it's in the description.
Somewhere in the description. You can follow that and feel free to join us. We have a lot of cool stuff going on over there. A lot of cool people hanging out. Also, Cody and I stream. I'm Purple Sunglasses.
And I'm Cade Starkiller.
So make sure you check that out. And yeah, until next time, guys.
Bye. Dude, that's good.
Dude, I think that was like our best episode yet.
Oh, easily.
Yeah,
easily. I mean, we've only done at this point 3, but man, that was good. That's good. I need Jumper 2, like real bad.
Yeah, I need Jumper 2 real bad.
like real bad.